Hi, welcome back to the Godot community. This is the Fine Arts PLC neighborhood, and I'm Sarah Rising, the moderator for the elementary visual art community. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And if you are a return visitor, welcome back. What I'm going to do today is share a little bit of information on how we can use literature in the art room, specifically children's literature. I'm not going to recommend any specific books because each of our schools has different requirements. So instead of a specific book, I'm going to show you resources where you can go to get some good information. Remember, at the end of the discussion, I'll pose a question. If you could respond to that question and share your ideas. And then remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the informations, the discussions, or the posts. All right, here we go. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about children's literature in the art room, and I'm going to talk about how to incorporate this in your visual arts curriculum. The first thing that we can do is talk about illustrators in art, and there are lots of ways that we probably do that already because it's built into our curriculum and our standards. I like to, first of all, find out what the kids know and then talk about how artists become accomplished in their chosen art form. A lot of us use this as a form of career exploration as well. So this is a great entryway into that. And then go ahead and then define illustrator for the kids. Now we can also talk about how illustrators don't just work on illustrating stories, they communicate ideas. So you can kind of verge off on that a little bit and talk about the things that illustrators do by talking about photography, using computers, how they can use maps and graphs and charts. And a lot of the kids' books that they're using, they're learning to use nonfiction books, things like encyclopedias. That's probably a little bit old fashioned, but informational texts and how they can use maps and graphs to understand that. So that works well in the classroom when we're looking at illustrators. I also like to get the kids thinking about how an artist starts an idea. So you might use some work in the classroom where you're working on collaborations and talking about how an idea comes to be a final art project. So maybe something like that is a great idea. And I have included a link for some illustrators on Pinterest. This one here, she doesn't have a lot of followers, but she's got a lot of really good ideas. I think the great thing about today in technology is that we're sharing ideas more than ever. So it really is an unlimited source of opportunities. And also remember, I encourage you guys to go out and share those things that you're doing, not just in our platform, but using the other social media platforms because we all have good ideas and it's so helpful for us all to share. I know it takes time, but give it a go. All right, teaching the elements of art, you can use children's literature to introduce and reinforce these new concepts. There are so many different books out there that you can look at. So check out, I've posted two of these art teachers who have compiled lists of books that might work for your school and see if that is something that works for you. The third thing you can try is linking art to literature through storytelling, which is just the basics of reading. And the website I've linked on here, she's got a list of story art ideas for art projects, but she talks about how, and we all know this, picture books provide an engaging way for students to think about and discuss words, stories, and pictures. They're already being exposed to it in the classroom. And it's so nice when they can come into our rooms and apply those things they've learned. It gives them a higher level of confidence. And we can also use that time to reach kids who could, as we all know, use a little more time developing their reading skills. Three things that I like to do in the classroom with this, and you are all probably doing this as well, but building on reading as the art lesson, you can focus on the illustrator style. You can compare and contrast their styles just looking at pictures. exploring the mediums and the techniques that they use to create their illustrations and let the kids work in that format. You can also create based on the character or the subject of the book that you choose. So you can get inspiration from the characters, let this guide your lesson, and encourage students to create their own versions of that. And then finally, what my favorite thing to do is something I call finish the story. I like to read a book, but I don't read the ending. And then I have the kits set up in groups for us, a little collaboration, and then just use 4 feet pieces of butcher paper. They can work on the floor, they can work on the tables, and let them work together to brainstorm to come up with an ending to the book and illustrate it so that they are now telling what they are predicting as the end of the story. You might also have to remind some children who have seen or heard this book before to maybe forget the ending and come up with an alternative ending. And I like this because I also have the kids present that, so that also develops their presenting and speaking skills. This is another helpful resource. I followed this teacher. Oh gosh, I followed her for years, and I find her blog to be filled with such unique ideas, and it's really relevant information. I've included the link to her take on using literature in the art room. So all you have to do at the end of this presentation, I will include the link to the presentation, and the links will be active for you. All right. And the last idea, if you haven't done so already, creating an art room library, a cozy reading space. Now, I used to have a killer art room library before COVID, and I had a bench and I had carpet and I had little chairs. And it was really interesting when the kids finished a project and we had a little bit of time to select an extension thing to do. Almost every student went to the reading center. They'd be piled on the benches, laying on the floor, maybe because the books that I had in my room were different than the books that were in their classrooms. But it was so heartwarming to see that. Right now, I'm not doing the center just because of the contact tracing and the social distancing that we're doing. But I do have the books out and they can read individually at their seats. But here's just a few ideas to create a cozy reading area. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these bookshelves. If you have it, that's great, but get creative with your storage solutions. I always find at the end of the year when teachers are moving on or retiring or no longer want what they have, it's a great time to search the hallways for some freebies and teacher casts off. I'm at the point now where people even email me first because they know I take everything that they cast off. I'm sure you guys are like that as well. These are just a few pictures of some creative storage solutions and how you might use those around your room. I love this wagon idea, anything on wheels that you can move around the room, because if you're anything like me, I've always changed the room around depending on the materials that we're working on. So get creative with your storage. For books, you don't have to go out and purchase lots of books. Just talk to your media specialist. They often are swapping out what they have. And ask parents for donations and ask your teachers when they're swapping books out from their classrooms as well. All right, that's all I have for you guys today on using children's literature in the art room. These are just a few ideas. I'm sure you have lots more. So if you would, talk to us about how you're using literature in your art room. Share your ideas in the discussion post, and remember to subscribe so you can see when people are responding, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.